Hello, man.
Hello, Steve. This is Felix here with Pipebomb Radio. I have my co-host with me, Austin. How you doing, sir?
Good, guys. How are you tonight?
Doing good, sir. Doing good.
Doing great.
So we're just talking about the Extreme Rising and some of the perks that come along with the Indiegogo account that you guys have created and so forth. And glad to have you on to talk about what's going on with the company and where you guys would like to go with it.
Well, thanks for having me to start off, and let's get to it.
All righty. Now, where do you believe that you can actually, where would you guys like to take the company that would probably differ from what it was like during the 90s in the heyday of ECW?
Well, I think longevity would probably be the first thing that I would say that we would all agree that we'd like to have this thing be around for years past what ECW was. I guess also, I don't know about the rest of the guys, but I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind being able to say at a certain point, use the word sell out or, buyout from, say, like a Vince McMahon or something of that nature. One, things and people change as time go on. And two, it'd be pretty cool to be bought out by Vince McMahon. I'm sure our fans are probably too happy to hear me say that, and I'm not saying anytime in the near future or anything, but I'm just saying from being a wrestling fan when I was a kid to growing up, I guess a lot of wrestlers' pinnacle of their career would be to go to the WWE, which is cool, but I think I guess me as a producer and director and promoter, I guess for me to go to the WWE, besides going to go actually work for them, would to be able to sell something that I, created from the ground floor up. And I should create it with the respect of taking what ECW, Paul Heyman, and all those guys, their blood, sweat, tears, emotions, and hard work, and add to that, to make it better, more sustainable, and more profitable down the line. I think one of the things that happened with ECW, I think the main thing was, just bad management. And I hope that Extreme Rising could not fall into what happened with that company. And people might question, well, you kind of are already. You're asking fans for money for Kickstarter or for Indiegogo, but really the dynamics of why we're doing it is different than, say, how things were done in the past. Like I call it textbook. From what everyone knew what wrestling was back then or how it was done, or this company was kind of thrown together. It wasn't like Shane Douglas has a bunch of money put aside, or Cody Michaels or Kevin Kleinrock or my brother or myself. We kind of got together and said, hey, we all got these talents and skills and connections. Let's bring them to the table together and let's see if we can do something special. There was no money, dude. What's that?
And boy, did you guys create something special, because it brought back some old sparks that had been missing for a while. It brought back some old sparks that had been missing for a while on, as far as the wrestling fans missing the extreme wrestling in their wrestling repertoire, so to speak, and they see it in WWE and TNA, but it's nothing like what it used to be when it was the old ECW back in the day. And I guess they got a little piece of that when they seen your show.
Yeah, we're not going to be exactly what ECW is. We don't want to be exactly what ECW was. We do want to have a little identity of our own.
Of course.
But, let's be honest, there were some cool things that happened with ECW. It got me back into watching wrestling, period. And they made a lot of headway to do something to this day that, in arenas around the country, probably around the world, at certain points during an independent wrestling show or even a major show, an ECW chants break out at. You don't hear anybody chanting NWA or UWF or, any other company usually, you know what I'm saying? But, so, I think in that respect it's a special thing, and we want to kind of build on that extreme spirit. I've been lucky enough to be involved with a few projects in the past that at times we were known, when I have a women's company called Dangerous Women Wrestling, when we were on TV on WGTW. Same station ECW was on back in the day, and CZW and NWA Wildside and XCW. We were known as the female ECW. May not have the best wrestlers all the time, but we had some good talent come through those doors. We had people like Nikki James and Wildfire from ECW and Jazz and Talia, who's up with Sky. These girls all stopped by doing some wrestling on their way. So when we did TV, we wanted to be the female ECW, and then that project went on. My former partner took that project, and they established Women's Extreme Wrestling, which it changed over time because at the first few events I was ousted from the company, and then it kind of like lost. I mean, you still had that little flair, but the continuity as far as storylines weren't there and stuff like that. And then recently I was tapped to head the Urban Wrestling Federation product, which is something totally different. I mean, the wrestling itself was awesome, as far as compared to any other companies that are out there today, but the storylines were much different, and it was harder for wrestling fans to kind of grasp what UWF was trying to do as far as the reality, as far as being a dramatic type, wrestling show, like, kind of like The Wire meets wrestling. I mean, our roster lineups that we had for the first few shows, they were second to none. We had some great talent on there, and we had the second time we shot a bunch of episodes, we had some newer talent that we used, and them guys were called to step up to the plate, and there's some stuff going on behind the scenes with UWF now, but the point was, when people saw the UW the first time, they might not have understood everything that was going on, but they were like, oh, damn, this is like a urban ECW. So I think myself and like Kevin Kleinrock, as far as production-wise, on the production and behind the scenes writing, directing and stuff of that nature, we have a knack for creating that atmosphere. Now we just got to kind of punch it through it, and we think that we can do it with this Extreme Rising thing, which we started to develop. I mean, the whole Extreme Reunion thing, the first show, was supposed to, the way that we call them the ECW elders when I refer to Shane and Cody. And they kind of wanted to do the Extreme Reunion thing for probably the first year. Yeah. And as cool as that sounds, I don't know if that would work everywhere. It might work in a half dozen markets, maybe a dozen markets. But I think, given how old the guys are, what condition they're in, I don't know if the show would be received. I think as it went on, it might actually hurt the show. So we were kind of forced to accelerate the plan that Kevin and myself kind of laid out from the beginning to start using more, more newer guys or guys that are untapped. The Facades, the Jay Bradleys, the Blackouts, the Dramaticos, SATs, Papa Don. I mean, these guys, Homicide. These guys are all guys that should be getting seen or being utilized, and for some reason they're not.
Exactly.
And as much as the ECW was like the land of misfits, everybody always say, ECW, the land of misfits, where all the guys who know their company wanted, that's where they would go. I was talking to another host the other day. I said, isn't it kind of weird if you look at wrestling as a whole, like take it on a scope now? Those kind of guys, those quote-unquote misfits, it's really not like it used to be if you think about it. There's not, the Balls Mahoney's and Axel Rottens and people of that nature, like people would say they were dysfunctional or misfits. And I mean, don't get me wrong, both of those guys are talented in their own rights, and to this day can still do stuff that would be entertaining and could be used in the ring. But you guys got to understand. I mean, that whole misfit thing, it's not really there. But now you got talents that have talent and are special, but they're like, they just don't fall in them. They're not a musclehead, or they're not a super tall kind of guy, and so they might miss that Vince McMahon vote or that whatever TNA is looking for. I don't know what that is. But.
So let me ask you now. Being that you guys were as successful so far as with the Extreme Rising as it's gone, why do you feel like that maybe the extreme wrestling didn't work for WWE and TNA when they tried it their way? What do you think was lacking with them?
This is what I think. Well, I mean, first off, you take somebody like Paul and his crew behind the scenes out of the creative process. I think there's part of your problem, and I'm sure there's probably a lot of reasons. And let's be honest, if Paul Heyman wasn't burnt when he was doing ECW, I'd be surprised. I mean, let's be honest. Anyone doing that for that long, and I think a lot of fans only see what happens on the outside. And if you knew what was going on behind the scenes and what he was trying to probably constantly, as I call it, finagling, just to try to keep things working, people have no clue what promoters really go through on the backside of the deal of trying to just keep making. You're just trying to kind of make things happen. It's easy for fans to sit there and say, well, the promotions who do this and the promotions who do that and the promotion. There's reasons why we don't do certain things. For example, well, you guys should have your lights off during your show, because if the lights are on, then it's a house show. So that's somehow the standard of what I was told of what a house show is, kind of. And I said, it doesn't matter if the lights are on or off. I mean, if the lights are on, it definitely gives a different atmosphere, but it doesn't make the show any less important. We don't have house shows. I try to tell some of the older talent this, and they kind of, I don't know, they don't believe me, but they kind of just don't really acknowledge it. They're like, whatever. It's, to them, it's a house. How could it be a house show if we're doing, quote unquote, a live IP review from, say, Monaca, and because we left the lights on, it's a house show? The reason the lights were left on that day is because we didn't have the budget to get the things that we needed that day. Now you say, well, yeah, 1,200 people in there. You know, you got to make money. I mean, you guys probably took on one. Look, I don't know, wrestling and entertainment, it's not like a normal business where, like, people do things like, most people would say, if you didn't make money doing a job, well, you probably would never go back to that job ever again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but why do you do that in wrestling or any other business? I can't even explain it to you. So it's like, I think people, you know, people that are in the business, you know, I'll say this term, it's like kind of like our drug, you know, and we're trying to do everything. I mean, that's why you hear all these stories about companies bouncing checks or doing crazy things because they're just trying to keep things going and make things happen. And, you know, we're kind of the same way. Like I said, we didn't start with this big bankroll, and we're kind of just making things happen. If you think about it, a company that started from nothing and no money,
yep.
calculated risk, and going out there and doing their thing, and we did 5 shows this past year, which I'm sure is probably more than most people thought we were going to get off after the first one. I think we made some huge strides, and then this TV thing comes along, and people are like, you know, we have some people online talking crap on us as far as, oh, I wouldn't give to this company. Look, they're begging for money. And honestly, like, I did this because, like, I thought there was going to be a lot of fan support. There seemed to be a lot of talk online, and somebody said something the other day that was kind of on point. They said, well, just because we want a TV show doesn't mean we want to pay for it. Okay, point taken, fair enough, and you know that is a valid point, you know, but. You know, it's like...
This is just trying to involve the fans into helping create something from the ground up so they could say they actually took part in the company.
Yeah, it's not like we're begging, like we're totally begging for money. It's because we're giving perks out. We restructure some perks, you know, some gifts to give some cool stuff. It's no different than Sesame Street and PBS or PBS documentaries, you know, and they're doing their fundraisers and stuff. You know, I think we're giving more value than, say, what a PBS would give, you know, because, I mean, I consider we're doing more like a pre-order system than anything. You know, you're going to get a T-shirt or DVD or a DVD pack, and you're going to see the show before they even air. And that's another thing. Like, one of the big misconceptions is, even if you're not in the Philly, Jersey, or Delaware, or Pittsburgh area, you'll still be able to watch this show worldwide. That's still like the number one misconception. People in Kansas or California or Texas or Chicago.
As well. Now,
yeah, I mean, you're going to be able to not only you're going to be able to watch it, but you'll be able to watch it before anybody else sees the damn thing, before it even airs in Philly or TV in general. People don't understand, like they say, well, just stream it online. You know, just for us to do a show the quote-unquote right way, and even the right way for us, we can do things a lot under budget because I do a lot of the production myself, is, you know, it's still going to cost money. It's still going to cost thousands of dollars for us to produce a decent 13-week episodic show, even if we just wanted to air it on YouTube, you know? So the extra costs are help paying for the airtime. And honestly, you know, you think the internet is like infinite. It's like, you know, it's kind of crazy to wrap your head around how many people you could actually touch. But if you think about it, we, you know, some of our videos, you know, most of our videos average, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 views. Some pop up, some are a little more, you know, they hit at the right time or there's a right topic or a right piece of controversy and they go higher. But on average, 4,000 or 5,000. But if you think the world, you know, 5 billion people. I don't know how many people are in the world, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you're only really scratching a small fraction right now. But if we aired this thing on TV in Philly, Jersey, and Delaware, and Pittsburgh, just by being on, like, well, I'll call it free, even though most people pay for cable and satellite and stuff. But just by that, it will actually, more people will see that show than, say, when it was on YouTube. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense to you. So I know that people, you know, so yeah, I mean, so that's kind of one of the reasons it's a cool thing to have TV, and also if we're able to produce it 13 weeks, then we can turn around and give it to Kevin Kleinrock, who will then go and try to license it. We have almost like a verbal commitment from one of the syndicators. They're interested in the show, but they want to see us produce. They want to say, give us a season so we know you're committed, because we, you know, in the past, people like, what was that girl's company? What was the girls' company that had, like, syndication most recently in, like, the last 2-3 years? Resolutions? Yeah, that's it, Resolutions. They had a syndication deal No, I was being serious. I couldn't think of the name. They had a syndication deal, but they ended up not being able to produce everything that they said they were going to produce. So that's kind of like, and that happens a lot with wrestling because people have a lot of big dreams. You know, like let's say example of Extreme Reunion. You know, you've had the Hardcore Homecoming, you had other ECW reunion shows. Why aren't they around to this day? There's a reason why. Think about it, you know.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with you. I mean, it's kind of going back to what Shane had mentioned. I was actually following one of Shane's interviews he did, and he mentioned how it came into play in the early '90s and how it's basically back in that same predicament where wrestling has kind of gotten stale and needed a little bit of shock of extreme back into it again, and that's what they're trying to do with the Extreme Rising, and that's honestly I think that'd be a good thing. The more wrestling companies out there for the fans to choose from to watch, I think it'd be a better idea, and in some form, maybe even a little bit, maybe create some kind of competition that maybe instead of watching what you can watch with TNA, what you see every week, maybe you can see something different by watching Extreme Rising on whatever channel or even online for that matter. It gives a variety, and that's what is needed today.
Listen, I love competition. Even when we did our girls' company, you know, I competed with everybody. and not so much going after them, but I just want to be better than them. I want to be better than them now.
Exactly.
But I also, we have some alliances. There you go. We have some alliances with other companies like CZW, who DJ Hyde has been a great ally. And we rented his ring and rail, so we made him money. Joe Bellini, where he's wrestling up in New York, he's helped us with licensing and ring rental and cage rental, and the Maximos over in Brooklyn with their company. So and then you have people like Brian Excel and Amazing Red with their company and Homicide. So we've tried to continue to make alliances. We were able to use the Briscoes on our December show and came to terms so we could put that on our December DVD, and it won't be issued as iPay-per-view, but you'll be able to watch that match, and it's included in our DVD. And I got to be honest with you, they're a hell of a talent. We haven't established so much a relationship with Ring of Honor, but I can tell you this: when I was at the Armory, we were booking a date. The guy from the Armory said, "Hey, Ring of Honor, they booked a few dates that they keep canceling with us. They're kind of worried about you guys coming in and running like a week before them or a week after them, or same month." And I said, "Look, I don't know who's over. I don't know them personally. I don't know. I never met them or anything. And honestly, I just tell them this: tell them to do their show whenever they do it, because we're not going to run. We're not competing with them. I know that sounds stupid. We are competing with them, but we're really not. I'm not out to cockblock anybody right now. We're not at war. We have not declared war yet. We're not in there's no reason for us to declare war. Exactly. Yes, we're fighting for the same audience in a way. Let's say the Ring of Honor fan is not necessarily a fan that's going to come to an Extreme Rising show. Well, some of them, sure. Well, all of them, no. Even if Ring of Honor wasn't around, they might do what ECW fans did and, not come to any other shows after that. So my message to them was...
Rhino and so forth and other old ECW alums that were in Ring of Honor right now, and every now and then you'll still hear the ECW chants, even in TNA, even in WWE. No matter where you go, it's that you still hear, like you were saying, you still hear those chants. So it's not a matter of trying to steal the audience, and maybe some would go, and maybe some wouldn't. But it's just a matter of giving the fans more of a variety of wrestling to watch.
But we're not out to necessarily go out and hurt them right now, or anyone else for that fact. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even this hardcore road trip that's coming up in Canada is coming up. Basically they're doing like an Extreme Reunion type show. In fact, they booked the same. I just noticed they booked the same main event that we had originally scheduled for our show, which was Sabu versus Too Cold Scorpio. That never happened because of the issue with Sabu. Mm-hmm. So I hope that match actually goes off this time. And I wish the guy the best. I've done the math. I don't know how he's going to do it. Just knowing what I know, and we have supposedly friends, that are helping, book the guys and stuff like that. I just know what expenses are and stuff, and I don't know, man. Good luck.
Okay. Would you actually mind taking some questions from the fans? Because I have a couple of callers calling in.
Not at all.
You don't? Okay. We're going to do that right after our quick break here, real quick, and we'll take some questions from the callers. Callers who are hanging in there, we'll get to you in just a moment. Back in just a moment, folks. And we're back here with Pipebomb Radio, and I'm your host, Felix, and we're going to go ahead and bring Steve back on and take a couple of questions from the callers holding patiently on the phones.
Song ever. All right. That was the best song. That was the best song ever. Joe Esposito, Karate Kid, you're the best around. That's
I thought you might like that one. I didn't know. I thought that might have fit in right there because I know that.
That's a great track.
But I'm going to actually bring on my co-host here, Austin. He had a couple of questions for you. Austin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did you have any questions for Steve?
Good, how are you, man?
I was going to say, how do you like feel about having Stevie Richards honored with the title as first ever Extreme Wrestling champion?
How do I feel? I think it's a great move for the company. I think it was like 22, 23 years and never been world champion like that. So I think it's funny. People will say in life, you got to work hard, you got to stay consistent, and you're talking, Stevie's 40-something years old, best shape of his life. Definitely put his time in, paid his dues, got knocked in the chin, knocked in the throat a lot from wrestling and having the surgeries and stuff. So, and here he is now, celebrating to be the world champion of what could be, I say could be, like the next thing in wrestling, Extreme Rising. I mean, and not to pump our own horns, but we've had a lot of talk about us, good, bad, or whatever. People know about us.
Yes, they do.
And as far as what kind of roadway we traveled this past year, a lot of companies can't say they did what we did, and plan to do a lot more bigger and better things this year. But with Stevie as champ, I think it's a great thing for the company. He has a part of the ECW lineage, and also he's in the shape of of a younger guy, which we want to kind of build on the younger guys. So he can still wrestle, and he still looks like a young guy, and so he fits everything as far as he's almost like a perfect champion for Extreme Rising to be the first champion. A lot of people wanted to see Luke Hawx, as a champion first round, and as much as a lot of people, I can see Luke as champ. I don't know, I think he made the right move right now. I think, I think he's definitely going to be. He's definitely coming into his own. People are definitely getting him, getting his character. If you look at the first show and every show he's done after that, no one's really kind of paid too much. They yelled and screamed at him in the first show, but they had no idea who he was. So, and they really some of them didn't, don't follow the internet, so they didn't really know what he was bitching about Shane and stuff of that nature. So now come December, he gets in the ring and he gets the reaction that he'll get, and I always say that Shane and Luke have a lot of similarities in their characters as far as what the franchise did, as what Luke has. I know franchise Shane will tell you differently and deny that and say that you're crazy because he's done that to me. And I've never asked Luke, but I'm sure he'll probably say the same thing, that I'm crazy and that he don't think he's anything like the franchise. But could you see Luke Hawx throwing the belt down just like Shane does? So.
Yeah, I was going to bring up another point from earlier. Felix, he said that when people are still chanting ECW everywhere, and when somebody pulls out a table, they're still chanting get the table and stuff like that. And people want extreme wrestling back, and this is what you guys are doing.
Well, hopefully people will talk about us and tell them, and so people can keep finding out. It's a learning process. We grow as we go. And, hopefully we get more traction. Every show that we've done since April has gotten better. And I'm not just saying that, but people have told us it's gotten better. It's been reported we've gotten better. So the in-ring product, there's still things that need to be tweaked. We're not perfect, and we're definitely not delusional. Well, I'm not delusional anyway. But you get my drift. Things can always be a little better. So we keep striving to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like what you guys are doing. Y'all are bringing in. Usually with the past times, they try to bring up ECW. They only brought back the old guys, and now y'all mixing in the new school versus the old school, and everything's working out pretty good.
Yeah, you're going to probably see some more development between the old versus new coming up as far as as that storyline develops. Where the old guard is protecting their pride and their and what they built. As the new guys come in and say it's our time and we deserve this, we're taking this and it's ours now. And, so that should be an interesting thing as we go. We've been building that since the beginning, and it's starting to come together quicker now.
So how can the listeners, if they want to go to the Indiegogo project with Extreme Rising Television, how can they join in and help out?
The website, it's Indiegogo.com is like a Kickstarter. I know a lot of people have heard of Kickstarter. So they're basically, in essence, the same thing. Kickstarter takes Amazon payments, and Indiegogo takes PayPal. Basically, the Indiegogo.com is INDIEGOGO.com. Just type in Extreme Rising or ECW, and our page will come up. And basically, in there is a video of the pitch, if you will, and then there's also a lot of text in there as far as, who we are as the five guys, why we're doing the project, what's it about, what we've proposed to the fans and backers, what we would be doing with the TV show, who will appear on it, what we plan to accomplish, why we need the money, why it's important to Extreme Rising, and then the perks as far as, whatever money you decide to donate, you pick a perk. Starting at $5, going all the way up to $10,000 to be an executive producer and stuff. So everything's listed on there as associate producer. There's, have an ECW wrestler or producer come to your house and watch some episodes and basically, live Q&A, on your couch and pictures and autographs and all that stuff. But then there's little minimum packages where you can just see each episode before they even go on air, for the whole season. DVD box sets, stuff like that, T-shirts and posters, and so we try to offer a bunch of different cool stuff, by people helping out by donating. We're actually quite a bit away at this point in time. We're 8 days left. We've only raised about $2,100. We got a goal of $16,500. If we don't reach our goal, no one's charged anything. So basically, they would go in there and hit contribute, then you hit whatever amount. You would pick your perk. And then basically, if we reach the goal of $16,500 on the deadline, that day for the next week or so, they'll try to charge your account. As long as it's in there, then, as long as we reach the goal. If we don't reach $16,500, then no one gets charged nothing, and everyone goes their separate ways. But we're out here grinding it out, and promoting and doing what we can. And there's still confidence that we haven't packed it in yet. If I packed it in, I wouldn't be doing this interview. And, a lot of people know Extreme Rising, our reunion, as Shane Douglas' company, because he's been the poster boy, the guy out there. But there's five guys behind this company, and I'm the guy that's a lot in the background, but orchestrating a lot of things to actually make things happen and go. I handle the daily running and handling pretty much everything, so.
Doing all the fun interviews, talking to all the people, trying to get the word out.
Yep.
Yeah, the word out being... He talking about Shane Douglas with Raw. It was I think wasn't it last year or was it the year before?
No, I think it was last year.
It was last year. Yeah, it was last year.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see that see that happen, and I didn't expect it.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody really did.
No, nobody did. Did Shane get the response that he wanted to get inside the arena? No, but I also blame that he didn't wear the yellow franchise shirt either. But listen, that thing was done to just create a buzz. We have a lot of people calling it a fail or an epic fail, and I gotta be honest, people have no clue as far as marketing or promotions or getting eyes on your thing. Good, better, and different. You were talking about it as you watched it. And the end result was, we did 2,000 people and sold out, so shut the F up. There you go, Marla. That's kind of what you say whatever you want. The goal was to help promote that show, and it did. So that's it. There you go. That's all it's about. People don't feel, they've got to realize that it's a business, and it's stuff like that, it's done for certain reasons. And, you got to love instant media, instant social media, and everyone's got an opinion, just like, so whatever. It is what it is.
I do have another caller on the line here that wants to go ahead and ask you a question. Are you okay with that? Are you okay? You okay with hanging out, Austin?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
All right. Hello, you're on the air with Extreme Rising owner Steve O'Neill. Do you have a question for him?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Actually, my question is, what are you doing to ensure new talent is going to be fresh and that you guys are using them properly as far as, reactions from crowds, storylines, etc.?
Well, the question is, what is your definition of fresh? Fresh now.
It's just one of those things where, I watched a November pay-per-view, and I seen just two random guys, wrestling or whatever, and it was more of a, there was no story behind it or nothing. And I as a viewer of you know, I would expect that I would be drawn along with the story of the show on the pay-per-view rather than kind of having to eat whatever's in the ring, you know. And if it's not being told as a story, you know, I kind of got lost.
Would that happen to the two gentlemen that wrestled Balls Mahoney and Blue Meanie?
Right.
I'll defer that question to Shane Douglas. Shane, what do you think? Okay. So anyway, I had nothing to do with. We had nothing to do with that. Listen, there's some, you know, sometimes there isn't a method to the madness. Sometimes things just happen. It may not be the politically correct answer that I'm just being honest with you. Like sometimes you just sometimes throw things together where not everything has to have a somewhat story. If you go to an indie show, not everything has a story as it goes along. Could one be built around it? Yeah. In fact, with some of the TVs, if we produce it, if we're able to produce it, we would produce some of it backwards. The way things are done now, especially with the budget that we're on, we have to do things a little more creatively. So there was, plans going forward as far as some of the things that we have done, that we know where we're going with things, and there's some things that we're trying to try out. Those two gentlemen, I don't know what their names are. I was not impressed, as a lot of people were not impressed with their performance. I don't think you'll ever see them in Extreme Rising again. Not while I'm here anyway. I think we don't run a lot of shows, so there's not a lot of opportunities to keep giving the same guy more than one shot. If you don't somewhat impress us on the first round, there's pretty much likely you're not going to be around for the second round. Now, somebody like Jay Bradley, who also debuted on that show, was brought back for the December show, and fortunately or unfortunately for himself, he was signed to TNA. So, just like Facade, Facade was brought in November, and he was brought back, and so we try to bring back the good guys and maybe not so much the guys that don't really work out for us. And I do wish those guys the best luck. And who knows, maybe down the line, maybe they do something that's impressive and we're like, hey, let's bring those guys back. But, yeah, I mean, I would have been, even if there was no story, I would have been more entertained if, like, let's say there was actually some color, some blood in that match because, I mean, they did pour out a trash can of glass and there was, you saw balls trying to cut the guy with glass. I don't know what kind of glass they were. I swore they were cracking up beer bottles in the back. So and then I don't. It just was not. Was not what was sold to us that was going to happen. And I've seen pictures and I heard of that those guys did some deathmatch stuff in California, and I saw some stuff actually recently, and I'm like, they should have did that for us. Not for me. But like for the audience, if you would have saw that, you'd have been like, So you might have overlooked that there was no quote unquote story, but that these guys were young guys and they were hardcore guys and they were coming. Kid came out and got a promo about how he was tired of all these old guys and he was going to make his thing and he was hardcore and blah 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 and you saw what happened. So and then as far as being used properly, I guess it kind of all falls together as far as whoever's manipulating or directing or booking, agenting that match, and myself and Kevin Klarmrock and Mike O'Neill are not a part of that
booking,
process.
Or who does most of the booking? Everybody's split out?
I guess it's kind of like booking by committee almost. When the first Extreme Union, it was mainly Shane Douglas, Cody Michaels, with some Kevin Klarmrock. But as soon as the first one happened, I got a little more involved with Kevin as far as some ideas, and it was kind of a booking by committee thing. And then as the years going on, the pendulum was kind of swung. It's kind of like a joint thing, And let's be honest, I mean, where we're at now, coming up for the April WrestleMania shows, we booked ourselves into certain matches, which is kind of the plan to do, And like I said, there's really no house show.
So that's cool.
Yeah, and we'll be able to add him into the mix and stuff. So, and there's a kind of a method to the madness with him. I mean, we're using his nephew. We used his nephew in June for a double shot, Quesadilla. Him and Bestie had back-to-back matches, and they ripped the house down in Philly back in June with their 2 out of 3 falls with the barbed wire and the barbed wire chair and the table and the blood and the flying and stuff like that. So and then Damien 666 is Bestie, his dad. So, I mean, there's like natural storylines already injected in that. We'll see how far those two ECW legends will go. Super Crazy and Damien 666. So, but as far as Fresh Town, we look constantly. guys out there. One thing I would like to do personally, and I know Kevin also is, and I'm sure Shane and Cody would be down with this, is developing our own talent from scratch. But the problem is you have to have a building and a school and stuff like that. And I'm not saying I want to open a wrestling school, but to try to get guys that are not being tapped by every company, in the Northeast or outside the area, that they can come in, like the got John Thorne, AIW up in Ohio, who's got a great bunch of talent and has helped me out with filling some holes in the Urban Wrestling Federation, and even, and that's where I got to meet Facade. John recommended Facade for Urban Wrestling Federation, so we tapped him and used him for that, and so. Yeah, we definitely want to bring fresh faces.
Yeah, man, you guys are doing great. I love your stuff on iPay-per-view. Go to a couple live events with my friends, man, and have a good time. So, yeah, man, thanks for answering the question.
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Have a good night, sir.
All right.
All righty, that was fun. Now, just per se, if this if the Indiegogo thing doesn't go, and then you were mentioning this earlier, what would be the next plan of action? Would you guys try to pursue something like that maybe in the future?
No. Honestly, the reason that I did this right now, we talked. I said I. It's kind of more like we. I kind of pitched to the guys, and this is what the fans supposedly want. Let's try to give them. I say supposedly, I guess, because I was hoping to have a little more support. I think that we all were, and it's cool. Like people say, times are tough and this, that, and it's cool. I'm not gonna. I understand that. But we thought that there would be more of an outpouring of support for this, and actually to be funded by now, to be honest with you. But I think there's people sitting on the wall, and meaning not getting involved yet because they're kind of waiting and see what happens, and. We need
I think you're afraid it's going to flop like it did with Vince and with Dixie. And
okay, well let's say it flops. Let's say it flops. We're not even if we don't participate and get involved, well we won't A, know if it flops.
Exactly.
And B, if it flopped as far as they not getting funded, well guess what? No one's charged anything anyway, so you didn't lose anything. You know what I'm saying? You didn't put money. It's not like you're gonna bid $20 or donate $20 or $50 or $100, whatever. And at the end of the day, you're not going to, you're going to get charged that we're not going to give you TV. No, if we don't reach that goal, then we don't get charged on. We're not doing TV. But the plan is, if this thing doesn't get funded, it's just to kind of go as business as usual. What we're doing, go back to focusing on. We're going to get ready to promote we have 3 events for WrestleMania weekend. Mm-hmm. Thursday the 4th in Philly, going to be a big show. We have working on a huge announcement. We're just waiting for the okay to give it. And once that announcement's made, pretty confident that show will pretty much sell out. So, you're out there listening and you're debating about buying tickets, I would definitely buy them, because when we can make this announcement, you're going to be like, oh, thank God I bought these tickets already. Nice. And then Friday and Saturday we're at Staten Island at the Warrior Wrestling School, the warehouse. So it's kind of gritty, grimy, it's going to be like an underground type feel. Really want to do something different than what's being done out there. We're basically going to give the booking to the audience that comes in at night. You're going to be handed a sheet with, wrestlers' names on it for matches and stipulations, and you'll pick the matches. And we'll pick 3 of you from the audience, put you in the ring at a table. You guys sit there and sift through that stuff and make it happen, so you know that there's no back-to-door deals going on in the back changing anything. You guys will be doing it in the ring in front of everybody. And then we have a show that is unscripted, and there might be 2 or 3 matches that are already planned that we need to film for the reason we need to film them. But for the most part, the fans will be able to book Sabu and Super Crazy, or you'll be able to book whatever combination you think. So that's what we did for Friday and Saturday, and we're trying to make each thing different. And with the Friday and Saturday shows, there's only 250 tickets being sold. I think there's only 200 left for each night, and we really haven't started promoting. In fact, I've heard people say that they didn't even know tickets were on sale yet for any of the shows. So they are on sale on the website at extremerising.com. Just look for where to buy tickets, for the store page. Get on there and get your tickets, and they'll start shipping early February. And that's WrestleMania weekend. So we just kind of keep going forward. If we don't get TV, I'm not going to go back into this and put up an because the bottom line is that's the money we need to do this properly. To buy the airtime. Yep. To get the production, we're still going to need to book some things. We're going to revoice over everything. It's going to be produced. I can guarantee you, if you like what you saw so far or if there's things that you like, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to like the TV show, or if not love it, and be like, wow, this is just, we do like, somebody said something about XPW because Shane and Kevin were a part of it, and Cody, and this TV show, we've definitely done more of an ECW main style show with the matches and the promos and stuff, not just like a magazine style, like how they did kind of like highlights and stuff, with XPW. It will be more, Extreme Rising TV will be just like kind of like ECW TV. Especially we have the lead shooter Charlie Brazzi shooting for us. He's the guy that created that MTV ECW style of television. So he's our main shooter. I mean, he shot every one of our shows. So it's not like ECW where he did like shows like say like in Corona where we did only like 300 people, and you would just use you had the fan cam type thing deal. No, we actually shoot everything shot in HD. So that's kind of like, we have all our footage is like high quality stuff,
Any chance you guys coming out to the Southern California area?
Love to, man. It's just the fact that it's got to be cost effective for everybody to come out there, or bring a piece of the action out there. There's been there's been talks about it, but it has to kind of make sense rounding wise. It has to be multiple shows, and then maybe like maybe a loop to go down into Vegas and maybe even Arizona. That would make a week tour or a 10-day tour, more possible and realistic, to be honest with you, But I think we definitely would love to come out there.
Nice. Okay. Wow. You know what, though? I definitely would like to see it be put on TV eventually, and hopefully that does happen. If it doesn't happen with the Indiegogo thing, one way or another, I'd like to see it happen someday because we need that. Mm-hmm. We need that extra variety out there. We need the variety of different wrestling instead of just seeing WWE constantly, TNA constantly. We have something to choose from. And that's
an alternative.
And you never know, man. Like I said, something could pop up along the way. Could be somebody who saw Indiegogo and at the time, we're not prepared to do something or didn't, really know something like, I can do this, and they contact us and say, listen, I want to put the show on the air, what can we do? And, then we'll have a business conversation, that could happen too. But, like I said, if this doesn't get funded on Indiegogo, it'll be a little disappointing, but, we're just going to keep going forward, and we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. People, keep turning heads, keep putting on great shows, and developing talent and developing our show, and just, who knows where things will go,
Awesome deal. You know what, I see good things coming from this, and actually, I wanted to mention one last thing before I let you go, and that was actually my prior guest I had on last week. His name is actually a former Tough Enough contestant, Martin Casals. He had mentioned interest in possibly looking into working with you guys someday if you guys were ever interested in working with him. He actually works out of Utah, out of an independent area in Utah. But he did sound, when we told him about it, he didn't know about it at first, but he looked into it and he was very intrigued about it and definitely was interested in maybe working with you guys one day as well. But
I find it funny that anyone that, and he's not the first guy that I've heard, that hasn't heard of us, whether they're, being truthful or not. And I'm not saying that he's not being truthful, but if you're in the wrestling business, you better know what's going on around you. Mm-hmm. Like, because you could be missing opportunities out your ass, you know what I'm saying? So, with someone like him, like, say, from Utah, he could be a great talent, but, it's like, it's cost effective. It's cost of doing business. Someone like that, you have to fly in. He's not going to drive cross country, and that's a part of, and then, it's like pay scale, flying in, hotel, like what is his true worth? He could be the best worker or entertaining wrestler in the world, but that doesn't mean it's going to be cost effective for the company. So my advice to get him is if he wanted to be in the wrestling business, and I'm not talking about Extreme Reunion or Rising, you might want to think about moving to the East Coast where there's a lot of wrestling going on, where you can get experience and work a lot of shows because there's a lot of, but there's a lot of competition also. But, Jersey, Delaware, Philadelphia, New York, Connecticut, a lot of shows out here. And they're not going to be flying guys from Utah into the area. Now, if you're a certified star or you were like an actual star, or someone who's got, that has chops, it's a different story, it's a different ballgame. But to a newer guy, younger guy, we couldn't. I know right now we couldn't take that. Doesn't matter how great he is. I don't think he'd be like take a flight and not get paid. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand what the pay scale is in the business, So, and then whatever things work. So, that's just the truth, hardcore facts of the economics of, of running a company and trying to make things work and fit things in the puzzle,
Understood. Completely understand. And I actually wanted to say I do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight, Mr. O'Neill, Steve. And like I said, I do hope that everything does work out for the best. And either way, I know that your company, Extreme Rising, will definitely be something out there for people to keep an eye on. If they haven't already been keeping an eye on you guys, they'll definitely be watching you guys in the future. I have no doubt about that.
Okay, man. Listen, make a pledge. Go over to Indiegogo.com, INDIEGOGO.com. Type in Extreme Rising or ECW. Check the video out. Check the pitch out. If you got a question, email us. We'll email you back. We'd love to have your support on this. And if you can't do it, we understand. Just trying to do something different and trying to make something happen pretty quickly. And thanks again, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it. And you said thank you.
Not a problem, Steve. Best of luck to you, and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, man. Have a good night, guys.